To explore how local data can be leveraged to support local communities, the South African Human Sciences Research Council and National Treasury, together with its United Kingdom's office, will participate in the launch of a community of practice that will be held in the Pretoria from 12th to 13th March 2024. Now, the community of practice aims to generate new knowledge and facilitate the exchange of ideas to strengthen the economic performance of South African cities. Its purpose is also to widen the circle of researchers, policymakers, and practitioners interested in the economy of cities by building a vibrant network of enthusiasts and experts. The launch workshop will, among others, discuss and share best practice to effectively deliver local data insights, including the use of administrative data, and introduce alternative methods and techniques to measure local economies. Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined by Senior Research Specialist in Human Sciences Research Council, Dr. Justin Visag. Hello, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure to be on the call.
All right, now, Doctor, perhaps let's start with what this launch is all about and what exactly it entails. Can you provide an overview of the specific data being collected and analyzed to understand city economies?
Sure. So I think before I start to talk about the data, I think it's important just to emphasize that cities are sometimes underappreciated in national economic policies and plans. But the reality is that there's always an economic logic behind why people and why cities are so important and so vibrant for economic development. A firm can access local markets, importance of skills and labor in the particular area, the importance of infrastructure, which gets shared amongst different firms. So that concentration of people is really important for productivity. And this is a phenomenon around the world, that cities are sort of engines and the heart of economic development. That's not to say that rural areas aren't important, but they have different roles to play, and hence the importance of particular policy focus on getting our cities to be as productive as possible.
All right, Doctor. Now, but how is the data for inclusive and vibrant city economies gathered and verified? I'm talking about the analysis or the kind of analysis tools and methodologies that are to be used to interpret the data on city economies.
It's a great question. And one of the things that often holds back analysis at the city level is a lack of data. In the South African case, we have excellent social and household surveys, such as our big census, which took place only recently. But when it comes to the firm side and the economy side, often this is lacking. And without that fine-grained data, that spatial data, it's very difficult for our big cities, known as metropolitan municipalities, so for our big metros to plan to be productive when they don't know the basics of the what and the where of jobs and investment. So the program that we've been launching and we've been involved in is actually looking to other sources of information, in particular tax records, as an administrative source which we can mine and then assemble the sort of fine-grained information which provides economic indicators at both the suburb and the city level. So we're really excited about basically this new world of big data for us to then leverage people's tax returns and then spatialize it so that city officials and other administrators and practitioners have an evidence base from which to start making economic decisions for their regions and their municipalities.
All right, Prof, but is it possible for you to share any key insights or even trends that have emerged from analyzing the data on city economies? Can you share that with us?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the big highlights is, despite the pressures that our cities are under in terms of migration and urbanization, many people crowding into cities because that's where the opportunities are. Despite all of that competition, you still find that a person has a higher likelihood of accessing a job opportunity in a city compared to a rural area. And so that's the message then is we need to be proactive about the potential of cities. Yes, it's a challenge as people crowd in, but there's also an economic opportunity and an economic logic. So can we rather support this urbanization process rather than seeing it as a problem? And the second overall message I would highlight is that we also need to understand that different places have different roles to play, right? So it's not expected that a small rural village can compete in manufacturing in the same way in which your big urban center might, right? But that rural village could develop a specialization in tourism, for instance, and agriculture would be, again, another obvious competitive advantage that that sort of place would have. So it's not about it's about finding a way that all different sorts of places and spaces can thrive and each have a particular economic niche. And so we're excited about this program because getting better data about cities and regions allows us then to support that specialization so that everywhere can develop to its potential.
All right, well, thank you so much, Professor Justin Visag, Senior Research Specialist in the Human Sciences Research Council, for your in-depth analysis and enlightenment on this. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.